Yo, what's good, people? It's your boy Taran Joshua. And today I'm doing something a little bit different. You know, recently I just dropped the spoken word piece called Faith Over Feelings. And I wanted to do a little bit of a commentary on it. You know, a lot of the time, you know, people can release like rap videos, music pieces, a lot of artistic things without actually explaining where it comes from or what it means. And sometimes like the value can really be taken away from it if you don't actually have the level of insight to where it came from, what was the inspirations, what was the actual purpose of the project and all these sort of things. And that's what I wanted to do today. That's what I wanted to start doing on these projects and stuff like that. Just do a little bit of a commentary. So that's what I'm here to do today. So boom, Faith Over Feelings, where did it come from? Well, really and truly, it came out of nowhere. Like, I didn't even really plan to write anything. I didn't really release a project. If you saw my Instagram, I posted a photo with Faith Over Feelings a few days before I even dropped the video. And weirdly enough, they had nothing to do with each other. The photo was just a random thing I was feeling. So I just decided to post that, and I put a little bit of a little spoken little thing underneath there. And then where the piece started from was the fact that I was sat on my laptop and I wanted to write something, but I didn't know what it is that I wanted to write. I didn't know what I was feeling. I didn't know where it was going to come from. I knew I needed something to get out. I've only started writing for the last, since I would say the beginning of the year, like where I've actively been like, okay, cool, let me try spoken words and all these sort of things. So it came from the place of when I was doing these spoken word pieces back in the day and before anyway, I always did it from a place of feeling something or being inspired by something, and I had something to say. But I was watching the new J. Cole documentary where he was talking about inspiration. You can either sit down and wait for it to come, or you can kind of just have to train yourself to habitually think about stuff to inspire you, because especially when you come back after a while of not being inspired, you kind of get to that place where you no longer trust your judgment anymore. You always think, oh, this is whack, this is corny, this is cheesy. You don't actually believe in the work that you're doing anymore. And I definitely got to that place. So that's why there was a bit of a drought in what I was doing, just because, again, it was very difficult to see myself in what I wanted to do and what I wanted to say. And there was a block, and there was a real block between knowing that I had something I wanted to say, not knowing how to get there, not knowing how to do it, whether it was a video, it was writing. I could not get over that barrier. So I sat at my laptop and I was trying to force it. I was trying to force a story, force something that I was feeling, but it just wasn't coming. So one of the things that I had to do was I started the piece with, I'm frustrated, bro. Like, cause that's how I was. I was irritated that I was sat at the computer and I couldn't write what I needed to write, and I knew I needed to write something. So yeah, it goes, I'm frustrated because I'm here with writer's block, and that was just genuinely how it was. And there was no plan, there was no topic that I was even going with. It was just literally being in that moment. I was listening to that instrumental over and over, and then that kind of just inspired me to start writing a little bit more. So yeah. This whole piece is about so many different things in one. It's about, again, the difficulty with trying to create something that doesn't want to be created but know it needs to be. That's definitely one layer of the topic. Also then just about processing of emotions and feelings and thoughts, how sometimes that can be difficult to do, and how sometimes you can struggle with that, or how I can struggle with it anyway. And that kind of similarly relates to the writer's block, because how am I feeling something? How do I have thoughts that I can't get to when they're mine? It's that sort of thing there. And it kind of is mimicked in that writer's block theme or whatever. And just the whole theme of feelings as well. And then as well as that, there was a lot of things that I intended to write about when I started writing. It was to do with my faith walk, situations with people, relationships, breakups, just careers, like all the things I'm sort of authentically going through at the moment. How can I relate that back to something that I can write? And that's all what I've been doing. Even with the mailing list, if you're subscribed to the mailing list, you'll see I'm just very, very real with whatever I'm going through at the moment, whatever I'm going through in that day. Some pieces may be repeated just because it's like that is exactly what I'm going through. I might not write anything because it's exactly what I'm going through. And that's the same thing there. It's that concept of I'm not trying to force anything. I'm just trying to, again, document my journey and everything that I'm going through at the moment, how I'm feeling. I as well use it as something for me to look back on, to see where I was mentally as well. It's almost like a mental journal, and I wanted to use writing and spoken word in the same way. So there's a lot of elements and a lot of things about actual themes in there that again are related to something specific that I actually wanted to write about, that somehow was woven into that. That right now, authentically, I'm genuinely just transparency, just with transparency as well. Just a thing where I'm genuinely thinking about these things, or or trying to process these things again, and making sure that everything's going smoothly and everything like that. So that's where that kind of came from. It was just making sure that I'm not allowing the lack of inspiration to control the way or dictate the way that I do things. And I'm genuinely shocked at how it came out and how much that means for me, because it genuinely is one of those pieces where I'm like, this one was for me. There's a lot of the times I'm like, oh, what could I say that could reach out and affect a lot of people? But this one, I genuinely don't think it can. I don't think there's a lot of people that will relate to it other than me, because there's specific things in there that only I can understand and only I will relate to. And I think that's the ones that mean the most about it. So yeah, again, I really like the idea that the theme I was speaking about is the dance between the person creating something and the creation. So in a lot of the words that I say, let me find some actually. Let me flirt a little longer with let me flirt a little longer with these plastic lettered keys. Let us dance a little longer, but this time won't you lead? Let's carve it out like a sculpture. Now we can create our masterpiece. This time I believe that the creator and the creation are finally on the same team. It's nice to see. So that whole section there is the dance between me being at the computer and trying to create this piece that's literally I'm speaking about at that moment. So it's like, okay, at the moment where I feel like I ain't got anything more to say, let me just flirt around a little bit more with the keyboard. Let me see what it will just start to splurge out and what I can kind of sculpt around it. Because one of the weirdest things is when you don't have a plan or don't have a structure of what you want to do, you really do find yourself sculpting out sections a lot more, especially with writing. It's like, nah, that's not right. Let me change this word for this. Let me put that there. Let me change this there. And I was sculpting out this piece out of nothing because I had no plan, no idea. And it was kind of weaving its way into whatever it was. And that was just amazing to see for me anyway. But I felt like it wasn't me that was controlling or dictating the way that this piece was being written. I felt like it was me plus the piece itself working its ways towards me. And I know that sounds kind of mad, but it was genuinely the way it felt. It was like, okay, this is a team effort. This isn't just me. Because if it was just me, I would do this all the time. But sometimes you need that harmony between you, the creator, and the creation. Finally being on the same team and having the same goal in mind, and we were on the same frequency. And I felt like that's why this just flew, like the way that I was kind of going about it. There was a lot more other things that I wanted to talk about specifically, but I couldn't do it because I just wasn't on that frequency the same way with the piece. Do you know what I'm saying? Yeah, so that's what it was all about, just kind of getting that flirtation and that dance back, getting that harmony back with the piece. Again, for example, one of the things that I wanted to talk about was a heartbreak, and just going through that process and stuff like that. Because I personally feel like one of the best things about understanding your emotions, understanding your thought process, is being able to put it onto paper. Again, that's what I started writing. And because I haven't been able to completely do that with this specifically, I was kind of like, it was one of the things I wanted to write about, wanting to make a piece about, but I couldn't do it 100%. And that was frustrating me again with the writer's blocks whole situation. I just wanted to, for example, I said I'm frustrated because I want to talk about the heartbreak and process them thoughts into words. I want to see my mind in black and white. I want to understand my perspective, thoughts, but I guess today just ain't the right time. So again, it's just that thought of I know for a fact that one day it will be the right time for me to write that down and to process that and have it on black and white. But I guess today just wasn't that day. And I had to accept that. And it was tough for me to accept that, to realize I wasn't in control of what was being made or what was being written and how it was being processed and stuff like that. I just had to go with the flow and kind of just submit to that. But then I ended with saying, but faith with a feeling, so I believe that one day closure will be mine. So then it's again the saying that thing of what faith over feelings means to me is like, regardless how I feel today, I have the faith that it's going to be okay down the line and it's going to sort itself out. So that's what that kind of saying is like, even though I know for a fact I want to write about this just so I can prove to myself that everything's been dealt with and everything's okay, I got to realize that, you know what, it might not be today that I can write about it. It doesn't mean that there is a closure already, because I can believe it's already mine. So again, it's just the whole concept of this piece is just accepting and submitting to the process and submitting to life and submitting to the journey of how things go and not fully being in control all the time, which is a tough thing to go through. But again, that's sometimes where the best things are being made and where the most growth and healing happens. And that's what I found in this piece for sure. And then just that last, I guess in poetry, stanza, the last verse or whatever, I say, but I'll wait. Well, you must have the courage to finally speak your truth. I'm in a rush to get it out of the way, but that's what I always do. Man, I just want to be free. Your noose around my neck is making it hard for me to breathe. But this time I believe that we are becoming the people that we were meant to be. So I choose faith over feelings. So with that, again, it's just the idea of, usually I would always want to be in a rush to just process, deal with things. But then I have to decide to be like, that's what I always do. I'm in a rush and I can admit to myself that I'm in a rush. That's what I always try to do, and that's okay. But this one's going to be a bit different. And it's admitting to the fact that it's just because I want to be free of all of that. I want to let go of all of that. But sometimes you gotta have faith over feelings. It feels like you're trapped and it feels like you're struggling to breathe sometimes, but that's okay, because faith over feelings, you know? It's the same with just the Christian walk in general. It's like that whole Christian walk, you have to rely on faith over feelings, because sometimes it doesn't feel like God's there. It doesn't feel like God's there, got your back, and he's watching over you, or he's over the situation right now. But faith over feelings. We're saved by faith through grace. So faith over feelings. So yeah, I don't know. I thought I'd just ramble on and kind of just talk about this commentary and talk about the poetry piece and where it came from, because I do think it can sometimes benefit. But again, in 10 years time, when I look back, I want to be able to remember what I wrote it about and understand those feelings and stuff. So yeah, definitely recommend other people to do this as well. But that's faith over feelings. Let me know what you thought. Let me know how you liked it. Yeah, that's all I got really.